is the Flex Network. Flex on everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flex Network. I am your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. Of course, I'm joined by Brandon Adam, Brandon D Adam 19 on Twitter. And then today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest, a maniacal fantasy football player, Mike Dickinson. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike_Dickinson. Mike, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
What's going on, boys? Thanks for having me. And I will say that my fantasy maniacism has gotten exponentially greater in the year plus that I've been in leagues with you and Brandon and Kozlowski. So if my wife had any idea how many leagues I was actually in, I might be doing this from the garage.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty maniacal, and
it's pretty horrible.
My favorite part is, like, you're right. I mean, we went from 0 leagues last year to like 3 or 4 that we're now. And the best part is you seem to be competing. We're all kind of competing. Oh, actually, you know, it's funny. Brandon and I are playing each other this week. And my team actually absolutely shot the bed on Monday night Thursday night with Lamar. Brandon, how you doing? It's Najee week, apparently.
It's Najee week. I'm so excited. Like, I got my first share of Najee this week in a veterans draft, and I'm excited about it. And ready to take down some whales for sure.
Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, for those who've listened to the program for a while, everybody knows you are a veteran. So it was Veterans Day. It was Remembrance Day here in Canada, but it was Veterans Day in the U.S. Same idea. It's a thank you. It's always remembering what you veterans have done for us. I mean, we're here talking about literally a fake game, fantasy football, and we couldn't do that if it wasn't for you guys out there putting your bodies, your minds at risk for the rest of us. So thank you for your service. And
thanks for your service, brother.
Yeah. So with that, you had the pleasure of participating in a Veterans Day draft with some other SiriusXM hosts. It was Heroes versus Hosts, and you had the 101, and it was cool. I'm sure you talked to Mike about it, but we had a call the night before to kind of just talk through who you think is the 101 on the season, midway through the season. Of course, we have 9 weeks. We are officially halfway through. And why don't you just talk us about the process of one Najee Harris at 101?
Yeah. So I was immediately I was thinking JT, because this is a best ball total points league. So this is just set it like you don't set anything. It's just best score out of your team. That's what you get. And so I was thinking, I was trying to stay away from people that didn't have their bye week. So JT, it was between, for me, JT and Najee for the rest of the year. And when I was talking to you, Shane, you brought up Cooper Kupp, and that was a serious consideration at 101 as well. But I decided to go with the running back because of the scarcity of an elite running back this year is very apparent in all these leagues with everybody injured. And I went Najee because I believe that as the winter rolls on here, I think as Pittsburgh gets colder, it's going to be a running game kind of team. And that guy is getting force-fed volume with passing soon. And I think he's going to be, from here on out, the best running back from here on out. That's my thought process. I really considered JT hard. And then when Dan Klaskins took JT, I knew I was on the right track.
Yeah. So Mike, good call. Brandon, would you have taken Najee as a 101? Would you have considered a guy like Cooper Kupp, understanding it's a full PPR? This was I think this was before the Odell Beckham news. Not honestly,
before. This is before.
It doesn't really make a difference. I don't think to Cooper Kupp, but Mike, who are you taking at 101 right now if you were drafting?
Shane, you and I were in a rest of season draft 2 weeks ago before the Derrick Henry injury, and Henry was the consensus 101 in that. I ended up, I think I drafted out of the 7 or 8 slot there, and I ended up with Najee, and I was completely stoked on that. I think just the volume that he's getting. Brandon and I were going back and forth Wednesday night before his draft, and I was on Najee just for the reason that from a points per game basis, he and Taylor within like a half a point of each other, and you're going to miss Taylor for an entire game. He has not had his bye yet. His bye is week 14 when you're coming into the home stretch. Najee has had his bye, so all things being equal, give me the guy who hasn't had his bye and who's going to contend every week. Najee's ceiling is the RB1 in any given week. So, I mean, it's completely within the range of outcomes for him to put up 25, 30 points, depending on, game flow, everything like that. So all things equal, yeah, he made the right call, 100%.
Thank you.
Well, and so this one was a super flex league, so that's why Najee was able to fall to you. But it's pretty amazing. So for those of you who do want to follow along, I should have said this before we started talking about this. We've got the link in the show, and if you're watching on YouTube, just go look down and you can scroll down and get that, so you can see. 101, you went Najee. Now the 2-3 turn. This is kind of where I had some questions. This is where everything went off the rails. The first pick was easy. After that, it went off the rails.
No, it
DK
didn't.
Metcalf at the 212. I'm not sure I would have done that personally.
Absolutely.
And then you went Darren Waller.
Yep.
Fine pick. Like Darren Waller. He is an elite tight end, even though he's had somewhat of a disappointing season. You passed on Cordero Patterson.
I did.
Help me understand that thought process.
Yeah, that was probably the one mistake I did have in my draft. I was going back and forth between what I wanted to, if I wanted that elite tight end for the rest of the way out, or if I wanted Cordell at that after I picked DK. I honestly was going to go AJ Brown, but Klaskins took him. So I wanted an elite wide receiver with Russ back. I think Russ is going to be probably pretty good. He's probably going to be a little bit slow this week or next week or so, but it's going to be fine. And I think he's going to end up just throwing tons of volume to DK. And then with Waller, I think he's been a little bit disappointing the last month or so. And I think that's what people were they were a little upset with, was why didn't you pick Cordell versus him? And I always like getting that elite tight end. And when you look at the rest of the year schedule, Oakland Raiders have a great rest of the schedule for tight end. And that's why I picked Waller and Cordell. I mean, I really wanted Cordell. I thought about it. I probably should have took Cordell, and faded probably to like a Dawson Knox or something like that. But I'm a big Waller guy, so I actually like Waller a lot, and I didn't want to deal with tight end. I just wanted to get it over with, get the guy, and that's where I should have went. That's why I went that direction. But DK, DK is an alpha wide receiver.
Deebo Samuel in the middle of the third round.
What about him?
He was on the board. He was in the middle. He was on the board. He was an
so
option.
What? I would rather have DK 100%. Deebo Samuel he's got Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got Kittle back. He's got Ayuk to deal with. No, there's no reason to go Deebo. If I'm going with the better quarterback with the fucked up finger, and I'm gonna go with my guy DK. I like to root for my guys. I'm a Seattle guy. Yeah. I'm gonna take my guy, and I know he is gonna be amazing once Russ comes back. And he's actually been pretty good. But I actually like, and then with Carson injured, just more and more volume is going to go to the passing game. So I just I see DK having a really strong end of the season.
Okay, Mike, what's more egregious in your humble opinion? Okay, we got Javonte Williams going middle of the second round. Dak Prescott, again, this is a one QB league, going right after him. I hate talking shit about these veterans. I mean, really, it's just horrible.
Dude, you should.
I'm going to end up
no holds barred.
But a dude with a Dallas Cowboys logo for his avatar took Dak Prescott in the middle of round 2, or
dude, get your guy,
or Leonard Fournette falling to the end of the third round. What's more egregious?
I was wanting Leonard Fournette in the third or in the fourth, but he got snapped up.
I think the most egregious thing that you left off this is the fact that Trey Sermon was drafted at all, let alone in a single-digit round.
Yeah, at the in the 5th round. That's insane.
Yeah,
that was bad.
I mean, I think the Prescott thing aside, he's a Cowboys fan. Go get your guy. I get it. You don't know in a best ball league, you don't know how these runs are going to start. We watch in the one league that we're in. I know that there's a couple guys that do best balls all off season, and they're constantly saying, this Mahomes would just went 106. They're talking about quarterback runs in the first and second rounds. So I think if that's the guy that he wanted, he can go get it. I don't have a problem with that. Fournette sliding to the end of the third. I think that he still has the stink on him from how it went down in Jacksonville, and people don't realize that he's the RB1 in Tampa. And especially in a setup like this, where like this week, Tampa doesn't have anything going.
Smashed.
Yeah,
he's going to smash this week.
Yeah, Godwin's game time decision. AB's out, Gronk's out. Like it's going to be Evans, it's going to be Fournette. It might be a little bit of Brate, but he's going to get a ton of work. And quite honestly, they're in it for a stretch run. So they're going to ramp him up to end up at the same place that he was at last year when he was so hot during the playoffs.
Absolutely. 100% agree about Lenny. I wanted Lenny so bad as my RB2. I was furious that he got snapped up at the end of the third. But you didn't say anything about my guy Mahomes. I got him in the sixth round. The sixth round. That's incredible. Like I was looking at like right there. Dan took T. Higgins, Dan Klaskins. I was gonna take T. Higgins. I was fading quarterback until then, and then he took my guy T, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take Mahomes, and Mahomes is still a top 3 quarterback every single week. It doesn't matter how bad the team is overall. Like the numbers are still there. Like he's still throwing up plenty of touchdowns, 20 plus touchdowns. He's fine. Like I just don't understand why he's dropping like that. And this is fantasy football. It's about numbers. It's not real football. Like give me the guy that's going to have ridiculous attempts, that doesn't have a running game, and has 2 superstars to throw to. Like that. Prior to the draft, I was talking to Mike. I was saying I was going to go Najee, and I was talking about doing the Cowboys stack of Lamb and Dak. But when it came down to it, I just didn't pull the trigger on that. I didn't do it. I didn't follow what I was talking about doing. And I went with my alpha DK, and I'm fine with it. I actually really like my team, and I think it's gonna do well. So we'll see.
What I love about these mid-season drafts is the fact that there's no ADPs out there, right?
Nope.
So you're going off of your own work, your own research, your own just how the season's going, right? I mean, we default so much to ADPs, and I sometimes wonder, like, would we draft better in a vacuum if you're able to just erase ADPs? I would love if there was like an option, say in Sleeper or something like that, where you can just completely erase ADPs like out of drafts, and that would be sick. I think that'd be so sick because you'd probably end up drafting a better team. So probably. A few things that kind of came like that with that in mind stood out to me. There were 12 quarterbacks drafted by round 8. Typically in like the redraft season, those guys, like your 12 quarterbacks going off around 9, 10, 11, right? Yep. People are waiting later than ever nowadays for quarterbacks. I found that pretty interesting. To your point, I mean, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray all went before Patrick Mahomes, which honestly
that's insane.
It sounds
that's insane.
But Patrick Mahomes does not look like Patrick Mahomes right now. And I guess my question to you is, look, if they're going to force feed the ball to Travis Kelce, to Tyreek Hill, and it's not working, what are their other choices? There's just a bunch of rubes like Josh Gordon's
just keep doing it. You just keep feeding it. You just keep feeding those beasts and just hope. Like I guarantee you by the end of the year, this narrative about Patrick Mahomes is going to be melted away.
It takes 1 week. It just takes 1 week.
It takes 1 week for him to throw 5 touchdowns, and people are going to go, he's back, and that's it. That's all it takes. And I think he's going to do that. That team is too talented. The coaching is too good, and I just. I think Pat was a steal. I think he was probably the steal of the draft, considering where other quarterbacks were going.
Yeah,
it's the Sunday night game.
2 quick things. One thing I'll say is, as an Eagles fan, I've seen this Andy Reid story before, and as his offense stagnates and as it kind of gets stuck in the mud, he doesn't have the best ability to kind of pivot and pull it out. So that's a little bit of fear that I have with this whole thing. And the other thing with Mahomes is his YPA is down a full yard plus over what it's been in 2019 and 2020. He's 19, he was 8.3. 2020, he was 8.1. He's down to 7.0 this year. So they're throwing more short stuff.
the defense are playing cover 2. Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league, he can't break cover 2 defenses. That's what the narrative going around is right now. I think that's
give me a
bullshit,
dude. I can't wait for him to smash all this up. Like he's just gonna this kid. Bet you guys keep betting against Pat Mahomes. Just keep doing that. See how it goes.
Hey, I think that was great value. That was fantastic value.
No, I think it was too.
The best part is you went Najee, you went Deontay Johnson in the 4th round, and you came back as your second quarterback because it is a best ball league with Ben Roethlisberger. I kind of like that. I mean, you went super late in round 14, but I think that was perfect. Mike, that's on the table. Who's going to win Sunday night? Is it going to be Kansas City or those Las Vegas Raiders?
It's going to be close. It's going to be closer than it should be, to be 100% honest. But I think at the end of the day, Kansas City pulls it out. They know that they got to win. It's a division game. They have their expectation is Super Bowl championship every year. And with those guys, with the horses that they have on that team, I just don't know that Las Vegas has the horses right now to keep up with them.
Love it. Let's not bear the lead. Let's get into these plays of the week. All right. So as usual, since I am a very simple-minded person, we're going to go alphabetical in these matchups for the week. So starting off the week, Arizona going up against Carolina. We got 2 backup quarterbacks potentially playing in this game. Arizona, Kyler Murray. It sounds like he's still got the foot issue. He's probably not going to start this week. Me drafting him at the 6 overall 2 weeks ago was looking like an absolute disaster at this point. But DeAndre Hopkins may not play. We all know Chase Edmonds is out. Rondale Moore is a game time decision. What the hell is going on in this game, Mike? Who do you like in this game from a fantasy perspective?
So obviously, James Conner is going to get all the work he can handle. There was a whole narrative beginning of the season, preseason run up to draft, that it was going to be Chase Edmonds was going to break out. He was going to finally elevate into the RB1 tier. And I was kind of railing against that. I've never been a huge Chase Edmonds guy. He's had the opportunity and he's always fallen flat on his face. You saw it last year when the Drake was hurt. And he just didn't get there. So, I thought that James Conner was going to kind of limit his upside. Listening to one of the great things about what Bob Harris and Mike Dempsey do in the preseason is they get beat reporters that come on there all year round. So like in May, June, early part of July, you're getting real actionable items. And they were saying, the Arizona beat reporters were saying that even in mini camps, Connor was getting all the goal line work. He was going to be the inside. He was going to be the 20 in guy, and Edmonds was going to be inside between the 20s. So huge game for Connor coming. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that Kirk could be a real sneaky play this week. On the other side of the football,
is that official? Is that an official flex play? Christian
It actually is an official flex play. I'm going with Christian Kirk.
Say it. Yep, you got to say it.
You got to say it. You gotta own it.
Say it with your chest. Put it on tape.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
can I just say, James motherfucking Conner leads the NFL in touchdowns with 11.
Wow.
With 11 touchdowns. Let that sink in for a second. It's shocking to me. It honestly is shocking. If somebody came up to you at the start of the season and said James Conner is going to get 8 touchdowns on the season, I would have been like, you sure about that?
You sure?
Kyler Murray loves to run that ball. You sure about that? And here we are, halfway through the season with 11.
Dude, I mean, my boy Mike, I argued all offseason with Mike about Kyler Murray and what he's going to end up being. And he told me, he said his rushing is going to regress. And I kept saying, I don't think so. They don't got a running back that can do anything. And look what happened. James Conner's over here just smashing slates. And who called that? Our guy, Alan Seslowski, the only guy I saw in Twitterverse that said draft James Conner. And I didn't listen, and I wish I did.
10th or 11th round.
Yeah,
draft. It was insane.
What a next to probably Cordell Patterson is probably a huge one of the best values you could have got in redraft. And
a lot of people probably didn't draft Cordell Patterson. He probably went undrafted, and a lot
probably
of
did.
In best ball probably went undrafted completely.
Yep, I had him only because of Dynasty League. I'm such a Dynasty guy, so like I picked him up whenever I saw him sign with Atlanta. Wherever I didn't get it, a couple of my buddies did, and I'm paying the price for that.
Paying the ultimate price. Let's move on. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we will be here for about
Yep.
13 hours, which is
Let's
not our
roll.
objective. As much as we love it, we don't want to be here for 13 hours. Atlanta at Dallas. Dallas is an 8.5 point favorite. This is one of those massive over-unders, 55 points.
Woof.
Mike, who do you like in this game?
Give
You
me
can say everybody.
This is one of the 3 games where I'm taking as many people as I can get on both sides of the football. So if you got Ryan, if you got Dak, or from the Atlanta side, if you got Ryan, you're starting him. If you got Patterson, you're starting him. If it's looking real skanky for you, you got to throw Russ Gage in there. You don't feel great about that because he's going to get digs, but
Has to pop, baby.
At some point he's probably going to pop. Kyle Pitts, obviously you're putting him in. And then I saw a little bit of tape that a guy named Matt Waldman does. I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Waldman. He showed a bunch of cut-ups of Hurst running side by side with Pitts and how Pitts clears out for Hurst. So Hurst is getting all that short, that 5 yards and in work. So I think if you're real desperate, you can throw Hurst in there and hope for the best.
Play the damn song. My goodness.
You went deep.
100%. But I think the only guy I'm staying away from on the Atlanta side is Mike Davis. He's just not getting it done. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, no.
He's
absolutely not
done.
Rusty Gage. Do you think that Diggs is gonna line up against Rusty Gage? He's playing 58 or 48.9% of the slot, which we kind of like. I mean, if you're gonna get things done against Dallas, the slot's a pretty good way to do it.
Yep.
Russell Gage is one of my flex plays on the week because what else do they have, right? And dare I say Matt Ryan looks good? Were we wrong about Matt Ryan being washed up?
No, I mean, somewhat, but we said it in the beginning of the year. He got a brand new system installed. He's got a brand new coach. It takes a little bit of time, and then he has major issues with Calvin Ridley, his number one guy. I mean, there must have been stuff going on in the back off the field as well. Like that was going on with that team before Ridley, came out and said that he's taking a break, and there must have been some drama going back. And so we didn't know that, but I was just thinking the Falcons were just bad team, but it really was just the fact that they were out of rhythm. And Arthur Smith is actually a hell of a coach and an offensive mind. And I knew he was going to get it together at some point. But I mean, if you look at the roster watch matchup tool, Atlanta has the 7th best wide receiver matchup of the week. And then the 11th best tight end matchup of the week. Running backs have the 22nd, quarterback 15. So it's obvious that we're talking like it's going to be Gage, it's Zacharias, and it's probably Pitts, in my opinion.
Well, Pitts is Zacchaeus. Pitts is every week. I think this is a fun game. This is a game where you want to play all your players. The teams that are on bye week this week are, I just hid my screen, of course, are the Chicago Bears and Cincinnati Bengals. So there are obviously some fantasy role players there. New York Giants and Houston Texans. So look, it's not as bad as it was last week, but with the Bengals and maybe a few Giants and maybe 1 or 2 Bears, you are maybe a little desperate. Plus injuries are adding up. It's that time of the year. I'm playing anybody in this game. I love it.
So one guy I want to mention as a flex is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard. Dallas has a 3rd best matchup for RBs, and Zeke did get banged up last week a little bit. And I like to play Tony Pollard in games with high over-unders and with the Dallas as major favorites. And I think that they have they are -9 points. So that's they are favorites in this. And yes, I think Tony Pollard is going to get a lot of work in the 4th quarter this week.
I hope so, man. I mean, Tony Pollard's somebody, it's kind of like a Javonte Williams, right? Where you want to start these guys because that they're electric. It just takes one play, but the usage, it's always a little bit questionable.
I think because of how Zeke was a little bit banged up and he was limited in practice this week. So I mean, if I was them, I would definitely tailor back a little bit on Zeke and let Tony run with it and let him get a little bit healthy.
Brandon, you got him in your vet draft. I love Pollard in best ball setting.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to worry about the weeks he's going to pop. You don't have to worry about getting him in your lineup. So
exactly.
I think he has a best ball play. He's great.
Yep.
Right. Here's what's kind of funny about this whole situation. You got him in round 9, which I think is probably after where he was going in seasonal leagues or seasonal redraft leagues. And I would say that, look, he's actually doing what we thought he was going to do. The uses that he's getting, that's why he was drafted so high. He was drafted in like the 7th round of redraft leagues back in August, and yet he fell further. You know, we know what he is, and we also know how banged up the RB landscape is right now. That was fantastic value.
Well, that's why if Zeke misses any game, he's a top 8 play that week. Easy. Anytime Zeke misses, Tony Pollard is a top. He's a beast. So he's one of the most efficient running backs in the league. So I like him a lot.
Buffalo Bills get right game against those New York Jets are a 12.5-point favorite, which is a huge number. 47.5 over under. Zach Moss might be hurt, and we do know you start your running backs against the Jets. Are you starting Devin Singletary with confidence, Mike?
With confidence?
Assuming Zach Moss is out.
If Zach Moss is out, maybe I worry about Gabe Script getting away from him. Singletary is not a banger, and they got who they have Tywan Jones and Matt Breida on their bench behind him. They'll be back. Right now. They'll be backing him up this week. I just feel like Game Script could just script Singletary right out of it. That's my only concern with it.
So with Devin Singletary is one of my flex plays of the week, and I actually like him a lot. When Zach Moss was out, his snap share skyrocketed to 72% snap share from 53. He's got 53% this last week, and he's usually right around the high 40s normally. If Zach Moss is banged up at all and they kind of curtail his role a little bit, I could totally see Devin Singletary as a guy that gets around 75% snap share, and give me that all day long against the Jets.
Could it just be a Josh Allen week where just Allen is upset, he's angry, and he just takes over the entire game?
Totally. That could totally happen. He could rush one in. Like, I could totally see him rushing at least one touchdown in for sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Do you dabble in the sweet art of DFS, Mike?
I do not. That is that's been a big bone of contention between Brandon and myself for going on 3 seasons now. I just I don't have the time to put into it, and I don't if I can't do it all the way, I don't want to do it. I don't want to half-ass it.
I like that.
It's true.
Okay, so this means you're unbiased. You have no stake in the game. Are you Josh Allen on the FanDuel slate is the highest cost quarterback, 8,700. Is that a guy you're willing to pay? Because obviously you can't play all the studs out there. Are you starting him? Are you willing to play him? Do you think you should?
I think it depends. I think it depends on how you construct your roster the rest of the way down. Honestly, in a situation like that, I think that he could take that game over, and he could put up 35 easily. Give me for the pay down. I'd rather pay down for Dak, Matt Ryan, somebody in that game, a game that we know is going to shoot out 2 skanky defenses, just a higher projected over under, and the line's closer. So that's a situation where I think if I was putting together 10 lineups, I'd probably put Allen in 6 of them just because I don't want to miss out on it. And again, it depends on format too. If you're playing a GPP, if you're playing a GPP, pay up for Allen and hope you knock it out of the park. I'm not sure.
It's just the problem is who you're going to stack him with. Diggs has not been coming through this year.
Emmanuel Sanders or
Manny Sanders, or I just don't know who you're supposed to stack him with. Diggs has to erupt here soon, right? Like, Diggs is too talented to not just start erupting down the stretch. And I don't know. That makes sense, but I like your call. I would rather go to the Dak Prescott stack with Lamb and then stack him with Amari as well. Like, just go 3 deep and kill it.
Dalton Schultz even?
Yeah, or Dalton Schultz has a great matchup this week too. Yeah, that could be somebody I like. Lamb and Schultz would be another one I would go to.
Cleveland at New England, 45-point over under. New England's favored by 2.5 points. Nick Chubb not look like he's playing. Odell Beckham, not that he was any good anyways.
Oh, what the hell?
Is it Dearness Johnson season again, Brandon?
It is. Yeah, if you don't start Dearness Johnson this week with the volume that he's going to get, I want to see your lineup, because he's a top 10 play this week at running back, and I just don't understand if you're going to sit him. So yeah, I would stuff him in every lineup I had him. So, but we know the Pats, like they're going to take away something. I don't know what they're going to do. It's either I either see them taking away the run, taking away Dearness, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to smash, or they're going to try and take away Baker and the air attack, and Dearness.
Baker can do that to himself. Don't worry.
Oh, I know he can. Oh, I know he can. Like he is something. Like but he's got something with Donovan Peoples-Jones, man. He's got something special with that guy, and Donovan's been beating man coverage at a rate that elite wide receivers are doing. So I could totally see him doing well.
He's getting 2 to 3 targets a game, man. It's just like he's so boom bust. It's tough for me to say that.
I think it's going to change now.
Well, we'll see. What about the
I think Chubb's officially out.
Yeah,
is he officially out? Okay, so that's easy.
Yeah, he's officially out. Yeah.
What about the New England side? Like, there's Ramondre Stevenson, some question marks. Damian Harris, some question marks. Is it Brandon Bolden time? Like
it's Brandon Bolden time. So another flex of mine was Brandon Bolden for the week, and he is a pass catching back that can run between the tackles pretty well. And with that pass rush from Cleveland, they're going to have to dump it off for Mac Jones, or else Mac Jones is going to get killed. And so I see a lot of screens coming his way, and his snap share is going to be around 75% because there's nobody else. Who the hell else is there besides JJ Taylor? And like both of those guys are pretty. JJ's great. Like JJ's a good player. For DFS, like if you're in a huge GPP, Taylor might be a sneaky guy to throw in there. Like he's a boomer bust guy, but like nobody's going to play him. So like I could totally see that happen. He can break a slate if he, gets a couple touchdowns from just screens. Mac Jones is he's very good at these short passes, and he runs that offense really well.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think we kind of said it all for that. A game that I find is going to be very interesting this week, Denver versus Philadelphia, 45.5 over under. Denver's actually favored by 3 points.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy's looking good. He's getting the targets. Cortland Sutton looks like hot trash. We've already talked about Javonte, but Melvin Gordon looks legit. Philly side, Denver side, Mike, anybody deep that you're willing to start this week?
I actually got 2 flex plays coming out of this game, both off the Denver side.
Yep.
There you go.
Brandon, one of your picks that's really stuck out to me was your man Tim Patrick in the 15th round. I think that was an absolute steal. Looking at what Sutton does on the field with Jeudy, I think he's 2-3 targets a week when Judy's out there. Yeah, and the tough part about it is, you took Sutton. You took him thinking he was going to have potential to be a low end 1, high end 2. You drafted him to be your 2, and I don't know that you can start him as such anymore moving forward as long as Judy's out there. So, looking at the Philly secondary, Slay's probably going to go. So Slay's going to see Sutton's going to see a lot of Slay. Slay just does not allow production. I mean, he's allowed 200-yard receiving games in the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah, he's legit. Patrick's going to line up on Steve Nelson, who I have no idea who Steve Nelson is, and I'm a Philly fan. So Judy's going to get production in the slot. Patrick's going to get production on the outside against Nelson. And then my other flex play coming out of here is Melvin Gordon. If you're starting Javonte week to week, you got to start Gordon week to week. Their carries per game are the same. Their yards per game are the same. Gordon's getting the red zone carries. Their targets are the same, and they're seeing the same number of guys in the box. So it's a play that you got to make. It's skanky. I don't want to do it. I got a league where I have Gordon and Javonte, and I'm starting both of them this week, and I do not feel good about it, but I'm doing it.
See, I'm on the other end. I'm saying start Javonte. The breakout has begun, boys. The breakout has begun. It's happening. It's happening.
No. Here's the thing. I love Javonte Williams. I have him a lot in Dynasty. And look, I'm starting him because I'm confident. Actually, you know what? In the league, I'm starting Javonte over Cortland Sutton in a league because I just can't start Sutton until I see it.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon is the RB1 on that team. Still, it kills us. But you got to follow the usage, and like Mike said, he gets getting the red zone touches. So you're starting both of them. I don't think it's nasty to start him either, to be frank. On the Philly side, Devonta Smith, man, he looks freaking good. He looks legitimate.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert finally. Jalen Hurts, however, he's not getting the rushing production. They've decided that it's a good idea to rush the ball constantly, which I love. It's good, right? You got to take a little bit of pressure off them. They're winning games ish. Is Jalen Hurts still startable, Mike?
So I have this decision to make in a couple leagues. I have always been a redraft late QB guy, so I ended up with Jalen Hurts in the 10th, 11th, 12th, a lot of places, and then I kind of stream behind him. So the situation I'm in now in 2 leagues, I got Wentz versus Hurts. That's an easy decision for me. Wentz all day. We'll get to that as we get to that game.
Here we go. Boy. Yeah.
As a Philly guy, that fucking pains me. It pains me. But the other decision I have is Carr versus Hurts, and I think I'm leaning Carr. Hurts had the production. He's still averaging 6-7 yards a carry, but I mean, Jordan Howard's coming alive. Boston Scott's coming alive a little bit. Gainwell's a factor. It just,
ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. Peace.
Yes,
kill me.
This guy is the Hurts truther. Like this is like daggers.
Dude, I've been a Hurts believer as well. I love Hurts as a Philly fan. I want him to succeed. I want him to do well. But these last 2 weeks, seeing Detroit, seeing how low his floor can get if game script goes the wrong way, that's the only thing that scares you about it. So the passing volume is not there. I still feel good about it if I have to start him, if he's the only QB I have, because he can easily put up 25, 30 points, and it doesn't have to look pretty. It feels very Blake Bortles 2017, where you don't have to watch the game. You just have to look at the fantasy numbers at the end. Don't you think there's going to be some regression for the RB position for Philly, and that there has to be some kind, like, I mean, come on now, like Hurts has to be, there has to be some regression, I think that's going to go to Hurts's legs as well. I think Hurts is not as bad as people think. I think what's largely concerning about it, though, is that Jordan Howard's taking the goal line work. Miles Sanders was not getting any of that goal line work. He really wasn't getting any rush volume. They ran the ball 63 times in the first 7 games with Sanders. They ran it 62 times in the 7 quarters after Sanders went out. I mean, that's asinine. That's an indictment. That is an indictment on Nick Sirianni.
Yeah,
I don't care how good your t-shirts are, bro. Run the freaking football.
Yeah, you got to go. He's got to go. Miles Sanders is a good. When they actually gave Miles Sanders the ball, guess what? Miles Sanders produced and he looked freaking good. Hold on, let's wait for Miles Sanders to get hurt. Let's start Jag, Boston Scott. Let's start the old man who could barely freaking move, Jordan Howard. Like,
I can't believe he's playing still.
Let's move on.
He's only 26.
I know, but
old. He's tired.
He runs like he's 35.
It's frustrating.
Wild.
Detroit at Pittsburgh. This is going to be a fun game, I think, to watch. From a fantasy perspective, Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you because you are officially the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest fan. Talk to me.
Dude.
Deontay.
I think this week for the Steelers, it revolves around Najee. First of all, he's got the second best matchup of the week for the RB position, and he is just going to smash the slate. But Deontay isn't Deontay the most consistent wide receiver when he plays? Like, this man, he constantly gets the volume. He gets the catch. He hasn't dropped a thing this year, and it's obvious that he is the focal point of the passing offense. But I think I was talking to Mike last night a little bit, and he was talking about getting a little skanky with his flex plays with this game. And I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit right here about Pat Freiermuth.
I love that. That's not skanky at all. I think he could be a sneaky play this week and possibly could take some of those red zone looks away from Deontay, because the wide receivers have the 14. It's a middling matchup, and so does the tight end. It's a middling matchup. It's really about the run game, I think, for Pittsburgh this week. And Najee is about. I think he's going to be the number one running back of the week. I just feel it. Yeah, and we love DeAndre Swift, but it's going to be just set your expectations where.
Yeah.
It's the Steelers, not Pittsburgh Steelers defense. They're 27th ranked against, so they're very good against the run. Just be prepared. Like,
Yeah, but they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
The good thing, I mean, Swift, he's just so elite at pass catching, and with that front four of Pittsburgh coming downhill so hard, I can see a lot of screen game for Goff this week. I can see that happening. So Swift isn't out of bounds here.
No.
Yeah,
look, you're starting Swift every single week.
Yeah,
always. It's just, are you starting him in DFS? Is
but, Go ahead, Mike. I want you to talk about Pat a little bit because you're a numbers guy.
Yeah, so I've been on Freiermuth since the beginning of the season. I hoped that Eric Ebron, the ghost of Eric Ebron, would just evaporate into the ether. That didn't happen. It took an Ebron injury for Freiermuth to kind of rise to the top. But last 3 games, he's last week he was 5 catches, 6 targets, 43 yards, 2 tutties. Week before that, 4 catches, 7 targets, 44 yards and a touchdown. Week before that, 7 grabs, 7 targets, 58 yards. So in a tight end premium,
7 targets.
Yeah, the target volume has been there. Claypool's definitely out this week.
Yep.
The volume has been there in a tight end premium setup. I'm definitely flexing him. Even in a straight PPR, he's definite consideration for me. I did have at the very, very bottom of my list, as skanky as it is, play the song. I did have James Washington the week that Claypool was out. The week that Claypool was out, week 4, Washington went 4 grabs for 69 yards. So you're looking week 10. If week 9 was drunk, I think week 10 might be the hangover. In a week like this, you need 8-9 points out of your flex position. Washington could get it for you. Like I said, you don't feel good about it. You don't feel, you feel like you need to jump in a hot shower after you hit save on your lineup, but still the points could be there.
I like it.
And of course, TJ Hawkinson. You're starting TJ Hawkinson every single
volume.
Week. Let's move on to what could be an absolutely beautiful game if you like the game of football. Green Bay going up against Seattle. Russell Wilson is looking to start. He said he's 90%. We just, again, as an NFL fan, I hope that Aaron Rodgers is back. We can just move on with this whole COVID BS and have ourselves a fantastic game. So first of all, I mean, this is a game I want to be watching, but who do you like on the Green Bay side? There's the obvious players, right? But is there anybody
running game?
Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones? Are you starting AJ Dillon? For receipts, by the way, last week you chose AJ Dillon. I chose Javonte Williams. 11 versus 13.
I'll give you your push-ups.
AJ Dillon.
Oh, he did.
I owe you 10 push-ups, brother.
Oh, you? Yeah. I thought I totally forgot about it.
I never forget.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, dude, AJ Dillon is definitely getting workload here in snap share. His snap share is increasing every single week, it seems like, right? It seems like that, especially since they don't have the wide receiver 2 that they've been consistent with. Like Allen Lazard was hurt a couple weeks or was out a couple weeks ago. Like it just seems like they're trying to get that run game going and lean on it. But with Aaron Rodgers back, you really, the main characters of this whole thing. This is Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones in the passing game. I could totally see all that happening. And Seattle's defense is not good, guys. Like, not good at all. Like, if you look at the matchup sheet, it's blue across the board. And Green Bay should put up a ton of points here. I think Seattle is going to be the one struggling this week. I think Seattle's going to have a hard time playing and hard time scoring against this team. And especially without Chris Carson setting up the play action for us, it's going to be tough. I think it's going to take a Superman effort by Russ and DK for us to win this game. And when I say us, I'm talking about my Seattle Seahawks.
Look, again, we talk shit about Kansas City right now. There's something happening, but they kept them to 13 points pretty much last week. So the Green Bay defense is for real. Aaron Rodgers, assuming he's back.
Yep.
The fringe guys, like the MVSs of the world, who had 2 targets last week, can't really bank on that. But he's back. It looks like he's healthy. Can you consider it MVS, or is he just off the table? You just don't want to do it.
I won't risk that. Like no.
Yeah,
I won't risk that. Yeah.
All right.
Next.
Did you see the report that OBJ wanted to go to Green Bay and the front office completely bungled the whole thing?
Are you kidding? I know.
We'll give you the league minimum. OBJ,
it's disgusting.
You're Cleveland.
Disgusting. I think Odell would have opened up that offense in a huge way.
Nah,
like
I'm not there
especially
yet,
for
but-
Adams. Like I don't care what you say about Odell, like as a fantasy player, but in real life NFL,
True.
when
I
he
guess,
steps
you're right.
on the field, that guy pulls coverage and DBs are nervous. And I think that would have helped out that offense tremendously, but they bungled it, and now the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl.
I think Green Bay is going to be hot garbage next year. Rodgers
Yep.
is out. I don't know what
Rodgers
the heck's going to happen with. I don't know what's going to happen with Devontae Adams. That team scares me in 2022, especially with what we saw out of Jordan Love. He did not look like he was NFL ready.
Dynasty players, you better understand this. Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back, and I just totally see. I see Devontae Adams going to be a Raider. He's going to go back to Derek Carr, and I think Bronco Land is going to get Aaron Rodgers.
I hope Pittsburgh gets Aaron Rodgers, man.
Oh, I would
hope.
love that. I would love that. But I think Broncos. I think Aaron wants to be on the west side of the. Like it's not that far from California. It's a pretty easy.
Go from one tundra in Green Bay to another tundra in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I could see that. I can see that.
Denver's cold too. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
it can get very cold here.
That is true. That is true. Yes,
Go ahead,
absolutely.
brother. Next
right,
game.
Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. Indy 10.5 point favorite. This one's going to be another interesting game. Okay, here's a question right off the bat. Can you start Nyheim Hines this week? You're starting JT. Can you start Nyheim Hines after his eruption last week?
Mm-hmm. I think so, because I think the Colts are going to be smashing this team, and I think the last 2 weeks with the Jags, they've been playing pretty well. Can they keep this up for 3 weeks? I don't think so. Like I think Urban Meyer will screw it up, and I think that the Colts, they need to win. They're still in this, and I think Nyheim could definitely get some trash fourth quarter work. I don't know if he's borderline flex play for me, but I think the monster I think the smash is going to be Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman in this game, if he doesn't come out with 125 and a touch, I'd be surprised. Like Michael Pittman has been shredding this year, and I hope everybody that listens to this, when we talked about Michael Pittman and his upside preseason, you're seeing it, man. This guy, I mean, in Dynasty, isn't he like a top 15 wide receiver now? Like he has to be a top
there.
15.
Yeah, I'd say probably like right on that 15, 16 mark. When you actually when you tally it out, I'd say he's probably right around there. Are you starting the Jags number one wide receiver, Jamal Agnew? Mike, is this a guy we're considering starting?
I have to in a couple spots. Spots. I don't feel great about it.
No.
Dude, the roster watch OG Dynasty League, I am decimated. I got Claypool out. I lost Shark. I'm probably not going to have Godwin this week. I lost Dobbins. I lost Kamara this week. So am I starting Agnew? Yeah. Do I feel good about it?
Yeah, no. I am.
Yeah. I mean, but he's getting the targets. He and Dan Arnold are the two pass catchers in Jacksonville right now that you feel confident about starting. And when I say confident, I say that with a lowercase c, not a big C.
Dude,
you are.
Dan Arnold is a good play this week. Dan Arnold is a great play this week.
I'm so depressed.
If you're struggling at tight end, Dan Arnold is a play. Like he's pretty damn good.
I don't like about Agnew. The thing I don't like about Agnew is Urban Meyer with Agnew. He tried to prove that he's the smartest guy in the room, taking this guy who had only ever been a cornerback, turning him into a receiver. And now because of the Chark injury, he's got to force feed him. He's taking targets away from Laviska Shenault, who's clearly a much more talented player. Like, I don't see how you have that guy on the field and don't get the ball in his hands. Try to get the ball in his hands 12 to 15 times a game. It's asinine. It's absolutely asinine.
It's insane.
You know, the wide receiver that leads the league in yards after the catch right now? We already talked about it on the show a little bit. His name is Deebo Samuel. You know who reminds me a lot of Deebo Samuel? Oh, that's right, Laviska Shenault. Similar types of players. Man, asinine. Sorry, Jags fans.
Fans.
Boy, it's depressing. All right, let's move on. I just can't anymore. The Chargers.
There we go.
Look, they haven't been fantastic, but they've got a pretty good matchup this week going up against Minnesota. 53-point over-under. The Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. I love Justin Herbert this week. Do you love Mike Williams though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm because I was dabbling in a little DFS lineup, and I kind of like the Mike Williams stack. I don't think a lot of people are going to have him because of the recency bias, but just like he can put up 4 points this week, he could also put up 24, 34 points. I think it's going to be good. I like him.
Williams got Slay last week. Slay went out a little bit. He came back in, but that was part of what contributed to Williams' down week last week was how much he saw Slay.
Well, and the thing is, the Chargers are number 4 in the league on team pass plays. So they're still going to throw the damn ball. And Justin Herbert, we know, is very good. He's very accurate. And Mike Williams is the 2 in that offense. Austin Eckler's obviously going to bite into that a little bit, but I love Mike Williams this week.
Dude, same thing. I have him written down right here, brother. I have him written down right here. Williams is the play for the Chargers this week. I agree with you.
Do we think, obviously there's going to be no impact to Dalvin Cook this week. Dalvin Cook is starting. He's probably going to start for the rest of the season, right? Unless some insane new evidence comes out. The league's just going to put their hands up. They're going to let the process play out.
Yep.
So if you're a Dalvin Cook fantasy manager, are you comfortable right now sticking with him? Because Alexander Mattison, he's rostered in a lot of leagues. So if you don't have him as a cuff, you're pretty much hooped.
I think that this is a conversation that needs to happen a lot more preseason. If you have a stud like Cook and a stud behind him who's going to take all the work, you got to prioritize that guy a round or two ahead of ADP. This is where we leverage ADP as savvy fantasy players is in a situation like this, a Zeke Pollard situation, a Cook Madison situation. You got the guy, every league where I have Cook, I have Madison. So it doesn't bother me. The only thing that bothers me about Cook is the in-game injuries where he plays a quarter and a half and then goes out because he rolls an ankle or because he sneezes or pulls a hamstring or something like that. Like those are the only situations that bug me about it. If Cook's out, I plug in Madison. I sleep like a baby.
Yep. But also the coaches were saying they're going to try and give Justin Jefferson more targets this week. So I think Justin Jefferson's been complaining behind the scenes, and I can totally see Justin getting himself 12 targets this week.
Well, Adam Thielen, thank God, bailed you out with the late touchdown last week. But other than that, he didn't do much. Adam Thielen, all he does is score touchdowns. So thank God, because he's not doing much else.
Yep.
A guy that I was talking to Brandon about, deep stash in your dynasty leagues. I have him in a lot of leagues. And for those ones where I didn't, after last week's performance on special teams, I would not, and I acquired him. His name is Kene Nwangwu. Are you familiar with the man, Mike?
I am actually as a Cook owner, several places, and with Madison in a tenuous situation. I feel like when Madison hits free agency, there could be some teams that are bidding for his services big time. I feel like Tony Pollard could end up in the same situation. So, I grabbed him a couple places. I didn't get him everywhere, but his metrics are off the charts. He is a freaking stud.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know Kene Nwangwu, go to playerprofiler.com. It's my personal favorite player page. But this man was a 4th-round pick out of Iowa State. He has a 99th percentile 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.32 at his pro day. He has a 96th percentile speed score, an 86th percentile burst score, and an 85th percentile agility score. And he's not a small dude. He's 210 pounds. He only has about a 28.5 BMI, which is low for a running back of that size. But the man is explosive. You saw it last week. He had that punt. Was it a punt return or a kick return for the touchdown where he went like 96, 98 yards for the touchdown?
Punt.
On the special teams play where they faked a punt, they gave the ball to Kene Nwangwu, and he's able to beat the defenders on the outside, and he got the first down. This man is explosive. What you like to see about these dart throw running backs that maybe aren't going to be fantasy relevant this season, maybe who knows with injury, but assuming all things being equal, these are the kind of guys you want to stash in dynasty, because once you get the trust of the coaching staff, you show that you're electric, you show what you can do when you get the ball in the hand. Good coaches are going to want to get the ball in that player's hand. We saw it with Kene Nwangwu last week. I bet you as the season goes on, he's going to get a few more opportunities. And what I would love to see him start, maybe get a few touches in a game, get 2 or 3 touches if Minnesota's up. And the thing about Alexander Mattison is he's actually younger than Kene Nwangwu, which is a little bit concerning. He had a late breakout age. They're both 23, but Kene Nwangwu has a couple months on him, so he had a late breakout, which worries you. He's an older running back, but if you can get him as for a 3rd or a 4th round pick in dynasty, I think that's a steal. And you should go test the market. So that's it. I had to get my Kene Nwangwu
like it
out there. Let's move on. New Orleans Saints at Tennessee. 44-point game. Trevor Siemian is going to be the starter again this week. Taysom Hill, I don't know why they're not starting him. He's clearly the better choice, in my opinion, but talk to me. Trevor Siemian, Mike, what's going on with that? New Orleans Saints.
I don't know. I worry about this game. I think this could be a very, very low scoring game, a low offensive output for the New Orleans side. Mm-hmm. If you got Callaway, you might feel good about starting him. If you got Traquan, you might feel good about starting him. That's an injury bye week desperation situation. If you're a projected dog and you need somebody who could get you, 14, 15 points on a single play, that could be Traquan, that could be Callaway. But I mean, I just feel like we're getting thrown back to 2015 here with Mark Ingram versus Adrian Peterson lining up in the running back spot.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I was talking to Mike last night about it. I was like, I was thinking about putting Ingram as a flex for volume because he's gonna get the volume. That's a consideration. But really, in this game for the New Orleans Saints, the matchup to go to is the wide receiver position. So I like Callaway this week. I think that would be a good start, and he's got they got the third best matchup for wide receivers this week. So I mean, why not? Callaway's a big, dominant looking dude out there on the outside. He's like 6'3", and throw it up. Why not?
Alvin Kamara is still a game time decision.
He ain't playing
as a Saturday morning, but he's probably not going to play. Are you comfortable starting Mark Ingram?
Yeah, I mean, as a volume, I mean, at this point with running backs, guys, volume, there's so much injuries and issues with the running back position. I think some teams are gonna have to start Ingram. And he's a pure volume play for me. But I think he could kick it old school for a game and get you 80 yards and a touchdown. I can totally see that.
Dude, they traded for him for a reason.
Yeah,
they got to have confidence in him.
They're comfortable.
He knows the system. He knows Peyton. Those guys drafted him. They'll throw him in if they have to. He'll get it. He'll get work.
Yeah, he will.
I love it. I'm starting him in the league, and I'm somewhat confident about it. Actually, it's
there you go.
Days of old. All right, the last game before we get to the evening games: Tampa Bay at Washington. Tampa Bay, 9.5-point favorite. It's got a 51-point over/under. Chris Godwin probably not going to play. Like you said, Rob Gronkowski probably not going to play. AB, he's out. Mike Evans, my God, obvious.
Tyler He's going to smash.
Can we start Tyler Johnson? That's the question. Mike, why don't you take that one?
Again, I think if you don't have better options, you can. I just worry about script in this situation.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
Hopefully you have better options at this point in the season. Hopefully if you've been listening to the Flex Network podcast, using your other available online resources, Tyler Johnson is not your wide receiver 3 that you have to throw into a lineup. I don't want to do it if I don't have to. I would much rather in this game give me Cam Brate off that team or give me Gio Bernard.
There it is. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot, Mike.
Yeah, to me, those are better options than Johnson in this game.
Great call with Gio.
On the Washington side, we know that the Tampa Bay run defense is an absolute buzzsaw. Antonio Gibson, he just doesn't look like himself or what we thought he was going to be. I dare say Antonio Gibson, you're not going to bench him because you're probably don't have better options, but you could consider benching Antonio Gibson. J.D. McKissick.
You can play him
in pass plays. I think J.D. McKissick's more viable than Antonio Gibson this week.
I think you're right with the pass rush of this front seven. I think you're absolutely on the money about J.D. And Gibson's my guy, man. I'll die with that guy. I think he's so talented, but man, I swung and a miss. That was a miss by me, and I think JD is the guy you want out of the two in this game because of just pass rush. I think the pass rush is going to get there, and I can see just him getting peppered with at least 8 targets.
Yeah, it's gonna be that one's gonna be,
and it makes me sad to say that about Gibson. I'm so upset about it.
Look, we do with the information that we have. That's it. That's all. And unfortunately, Antonio Gibson's been a disappointment this season. And the thing is he's only getting 50% snap share as well, and he doesn't look. He's 20th in fantasy points per game with 12. He's scored less than 10 points in half of those games. And 4 of the
good, man.
It's TD or bust for him, and I don't see him scoring a TD against Tampa Bay.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable starting J.D. McKissick, and that unfortunately
right.
makes me sad.
It does.
Let's go to the Sunday night game because this one's fun.
One quick thing there. Logan
yeah.
Thomas is out, so if you are desperate at tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones is a viable play.
Sure.
Other than McLaurin, he's probably gonna be the second option in the pass game. Script will dictate McKissick probably, but if you need him, especially in a tight end premium spot, throw him in there and feel decent about it. He'll probably get you 12, 13 points.
There you go.
And I mean, he's an obvious player starting no matter what, but I love Terry McLaurin this week. I'm trying to get him in many DFS lineups this week as I can.
He's going to smash.
I think he's going to absolutely smash because they have to keep up. They have to keep up. They're going to be throwing the ball.
And
all right,
go ahead. Never mind. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Right,
good.
Sunday night game, Kansas City going up against Las Vegas, 51.5. Kansas City's 2.5-point favorites. I think, Mike, you called Las Vegas beating KC tonight.
No, I said
no.
KC.
He said KC. He said KC.
Okay, KC's still gonna win. Okay, I got Las Vegas in this game.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert! I think Las Vegas is gonna. There's something happening in that locker room where they seem to be rallying. I think they're just a better team right now, and I'm gonna give the nod to the better team right now, Las Vegas. Darren Waller's finally getting the targets. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean He needs the targets to be relevant. Last week he had 11. He had 7 receptions for 92 yards. Didn't get the touchdown.
Perfect.
Hunter Renfrow, man, had 9 targets last week, 49 yards and a touchdown. And Drake still had 10 touches, 100 yards. So I kind of like the Las Vegas Raiders right now. I don't know what to say. He's not going to be back, I don't think, this week either. That hurts him.
So one of my flex plays is Hunter Renfrow this week.
Love it.
I think Hunter, especially in PPR, you can definitely flex him and be very comfortable about it. He saw 9 targets last week for 7 catches, 49 yards and a touchdown. His yardage for Vegas prop is 59 yards this week. So I can totally see him again getting that kind of similar stat line. And can we just say Bryan Edwards is nothing. He is.
I was about to say
this guy is the biggest tease I've ever dealt with besides Courtney in high school. Courtney in high school was the biggest tease in my life. And now we got Bryan Edwards on the scene, and Bryan Edwards is a massive tease. What a alpha looking dude, but plays like a total beta. Like, I mean, this guy has everything going for him, and I don't understand why he hasn't secured the number 1 wide receiver position. Instead, it goes to this little 5'9" white boy from Clemson, Hunter Renfrow. He's the number 1 wide receiver. And I just like Hunter Renfrow this week a lot. They got the 9th best wide receiver matchup of the week. Waller has one of the best matchups of the week. So I can see a massive week for Waller. And yeah, I think Derek Carr can definitely throw for 2-3 touchdowns this week and play very well. And you're right, Drake is doing well, but Jacobs is finally back off of the injury report. He is not on the injury report at all this week, so he's returning back to himself. And I like Jacobs for the rest of the season out. But I think it's Hunter Renfrow is a great flex this week.
I love it. We have a couple questions here. The Chosen Rose. Thank you for listening, Chosen Rose. Is it beneficial to drop Tim Patrick for Russell Gage? Brandon, you're the de facto Tim Patrick fan. What do you think?
I like Tim Patrick. I think he has a nice connection with Teddy, but he is the 3rd wide receiver, and Gage is the 2nd the wide receiver. So that's a tough one. But I think Tim Patrick is the better talent overall. So I actually would probably take Tim Patrick.
I'm taking Russell Gage simply because Noah Fant is back. Noah Fant is good. Albert O is still out there.
Yeah.
Not that he's really going to take
Albert O doesn't play when Fant's on.
Yeah, I think, I would say I'm going Russell Gage there, but it's close. It's close to me.
It's close.
Tiebreaker, who are you taking, Mike?
I'm taking Patrick. Dude,
there's my boy.
Quarterback rating 127 when targeting Patrick. That's all.
Thank you.
He catches everything.
Everything. And he's ridiculous against man coverage, man press. He is so good against man.
Okay, we're going to bang these out real quick for the Chosen Rose. Start 2, Emmanuel Sanders, Hunter Renfrow, Jerry Jeudy, Russell Gage, Christian Kirk. For me, Emmanuel Sanders is an obvious one. Okay, really? Interesting.
I like Kirk and
Mike?
Renfro this week.
Oh, I'm Judy Renfro for me.
So I'm going Sanders, Judy. So we
Man,
no
you
help
got
whatsoever.
no help.
No help whatsoever. All right, Tyler Higbee, Ty Conklin, Jared Cook, Pratt Fryermuth. I'm leaning for the Fryer, baby.
Yep. That's it,
Okay,
Pat.
consensus there. And since Eburn is starting, should people be nervous about starting Pat Fryermuth? Absolutely not. Pat Fryermuth is a monster.
You can tell that the coaches like him a lot.
Yeah, and I'm going Young Hoku here. I don't play in any leagues with kickers, and frankly, you should talk to your commissioner and get kickers out because I hate it.
It's a joke.
I'm going Koo here. You guys agree with me on that, or you want Nick Folk?
Koo.
That is.
Yeah, Koo probably.
Okay.
With kickers, I still play in a couple leagues with kickers. My general rule with kickers is always take the game that has the higher over under. So
and the ones that are indoor, like try and take the ones if there's a dome guy versus a non-dome guy.
Yep.
So
yeah. So hopefully we helped you out there. All right, let's finish up the slates. We have Monday night, those LA Rams going up against San Francisco. I mean, from just a game's perspective, the Rams are going to stomp San Francisco. But who do we like from fantasy in these games? Everybody? Can we say everybody? I don't think Odell's going to play. He hasn't practiced. I do not see him playing.
No.
Okay, so Robert Woods, you're going to start Robert Woods with confidence still?
Yeah.
What about Van Jefferson?
He's been getting snap share increase. I mean, he really has. But, I mean, this might be his last week of being viable. So, like, if I was him, I would try and ball out this week.
Did they throw him a bone? Hey, I know we just picked up OBJ. We still love you. Next year's your year. Here you go, kid. Here's 5 targets. Have at it.
Yeah, for sure. I could totally see that.
Completed air yards per reception. Cooper Kupp 7.9, Robert Woods 8.1, Van Jefferson 11.6. I honestly think OBJ is going to cut more into the Robert Woods role than into the Van Jefferson role. Having Jefferson as a field stretcher makes such a difference, even if he's not getting the targets. I think for my one league that I have Robert Woods, I think it's rest in peace for the rest of the season after this.
I think in Dynasty, Robert Woods is an easy trade away now because I think Odell is going to stay in LA. I don't know. I don't know what you can get. I don't know what his value would be, but I would poke around and see if I could move him before the apocalypse comes down and he's going to disappear. And I really think Odell is meant to bring in he's going to be there past this year, in my opinion. I think they're all about the stars in LA, and I think they want to put on a show for the fans and trying to get people there in LA to pay attention to football. And you do that with stars like Odell, and you do that with Kupp and Cam Akers. And so I just think I really do think Bobby Trees is going to be out the door next year, most likely.
Would you take a third for him?
What's that?
Would you take a third for him in Dynasty?
No. I consider second, but not a third.
A second, a high second.
Yeah, I consider a second. But the thing is, if you're trading for Robert Woods, it's probably because you're bullish on him this season, which means you probably have a decent team, which means if you're getting a second, it's probably a late second.
Yep.
So that one's tough. That it might take a late second and a third or something like that. But
I really do think Odell's gonna. I think the contract for Bobby Trees, it's pretty big, and I think they can save some money with his contract being gone, and they can sign Odell.
Here's the thing about friggin' Robert Woods, and I guess he only had that one big game, or really it was one massive game where he just got insane volume, but he's averaging 15.2 fantasy points per week. That's still pretty damn respectable, and we're talking full PPR right now.
Yep.
Oh, man. It's can I just say,
how old is Bobby? How old is Robert?
He's like 31, 32. I could go check.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think they're going to try and get younger and keep Odell.
Yeah. It's kill me.
I would love, like, next year. Think about it. You're going to have Kupp, Odell, and then you got Van Jefferson as your third. That's a nice wide receiver core.
Decent. Look, I still don't believe that Odell is going to be the same Odell that we think he's going to be. He hasn't been that guy.
I totally disagree with you. His talent is fine. This guy is a temperamental little diva. So as long as his mind is in the game, his talent is there physically. He's still routing people up. It's just all about here.
Okay, so Robert Woods is 29 years old. Odell Beckham is also 29 years old.
29. but he looks like he's not. Yeah, he's the same age.
Maybe because he hasn't aged, he hasn't had the wear and tear. I don't know. Give me rest of career. I want Robert Woods, who's been on the field for his entire career, over Odell Beckham. Maybe that's a hot take. Odell Beckham's done nothing for years. Robert Woods has been a reliable fantasy asset every single season where he's on the field. Sure. Give me Robert Woods, rest of career. Sure. Okay, so on the San Francisco side, Brandon Ayuk, he got 8 targets last week. Finally, he had 87 yards, touchdown. George Kittle also had 8 targets. Deebo Samuel had 9 targets. Just when we thought that Jimmy Garoppolo could only support a few fantasy relevant players, he actually supported 3 last week. Elijah Mitchell didn't get the touchdown, but he still had 79 yards. Assuming the San Francisco 49ers finally look at themselves and realize we are not going to make the playoffs. They talk to Jesus. They find out we suck this season. When is the Jimmy Garoppolo experiment going to be over?
I think they're not going to do it. I think they're going to wait till next year for Lance. It's pretty clear to me that they are not going to bring this kid out to get beat up on in a terrible season. It's too bad because I actually think it's really beneficial for young players, especially for Lance. He's had basically no college games.
Season. Basically one season.
Basically. And like I would totally give him every opportunity to play, but it seems like Kyle is not going to do it. I think he is just not. So I don't know. I think Jimmy's going to play the rest of the year.
My guess is that if they lose this on Monday night, which I think they will, I think that at that point they're going to start him starting next week. Because
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right because I want to see what Lance is made of.
Look at Justin Fields, man. He did not look good at the start of the season. Everybody was so quick to just assume this rookie quarterback is going to be an absolute bust, even though it was pretty much him and Trevor Lawrence throughout their entire college careers. It was the QB1 and the QB1A. And look at that. He's getting some reps. He's getting more comfortable, and he's starting to look pretty good. I think that Trey Lance.
He threw some good throws last week. He had some really nice throws. That one to Jimmy Graham down the seam was incredible throw.
Oh, my God. Look, I don't want to go on a rant about just the NFL officiating right now, but the Chicago Bears got absolutely steamrolled by the officials last week on multiple occasions. And you know what the thing that frustrates me the most? I mean, as much as that taunting call, what the heck's that defensive player's name?
Marsh.
Yes, thank you, Cassius Marsh. That was ridiculous. But to me, the most egregious non-call was when Justin Fields got hit like 17 minutes after the freaking pass, and he ended up on his ass, and it didn't count for much. But those are the sort of things where, guys, what's more beneficial for the game? Protecting that quarterback when it's 7-8 minutes after he freaking gets rid of the ball, or this random ass taunting penalty where the dude is, quote, gesturing towards the sideline. It's egregious. It's offensive. It's unacceptable. NFL.
Have you seen that? That GIF somebody made of that SpongeBob character with talking about how Marsh looked incredibly aggressive. He had an aggressive posture. it was the funniest GIF I've seen in a while, and. But the hip check by the ref was egregious, like egregious.
Dude, do you really think the ref meant to hip check him?
I do. Did you not see him? He looked right at him when the dude ran right past him, and I think Marsh probably gave him a scowl, and he just poked his fat ass out there and clipped himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. Like, so I officiated basketball for 15 years, and I understand emotions can get high. I was an amateur referee, right? I didn't referee at the professional level. These guys are professional referees. I don't think he purposely hip checked them. That's just a bad look. I mean, either way, it's a bad look.
Yeah.
Horrible call.
But I feel like Justin Fields is getting treated like Cam Newton did when he was young. Like
he's not old enough to make that call, to get that
call. They are getting
right.
They are allowing
people to smash it. That wasn't it? That was Hockley who said, "You're not old enough to get that call to Cam Newton."
Yes,
back when he was a rook. Yeah.
Yep.
Same deal. It's just it's horrible.
Yep.
Overall, I think it's going to be a fun game, though. I look. I mean, San Francisco, they don't look good right now, but the thing is, we know they have the talent, right? That's what's so disappointing. They're such a good team. That Super Bowl run, that seems to be the exception now to the rule versus what actually is happening. You're only as good as your record says you are. They don't look like they're a good team. George Kittle's back. Brandon Ayuk finally looks like he's producing. Deebo Samuel is insane. I think Elijah Mitchell is fantastic. I liked him in the offseason. It's going to be a fun game, man. This could. I'm picking the Rams. This could be an upset. If San Francisco can win this game, there's life. I take it back. Otherwise, I think you're going to lose. Season's over.
On the field.
Let's move on. Let's go, Trey.
Where are you on Shanahan?
I think he should be fired. He has too much talent. He has way too much talent, but they're not going to do that because he just got his quarterback of the future, and they're probably going to want to see him with that player. But honestly, he has done zero to keep his job in the last 3 years. Honestly, I'm not. I think he's a little bit overrated, and I think he thinks he's too cool for school, and he's a total Shanahan. He has a real arrogance to him.
Mike, give us your hot Shanahan take, then we're going to get out of here. We're already at an hour and 15 minutes.
Woo! Shanahan thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I read something where he requires his receivers to learn every single position rather than letting them, learn the X or the Y or the Z. And that's part of the reason that Ayuk hasn't gotten on the field quicker. That's why you're seeing Sanu get snaps over Ayuk. So I think that if he was a better coach, he would adapt his system better to fit the talent that he has rather than try and go out and constantly churn his roster to get the right guys.
I hear you.
How does he go from Brandon Ayuk is my top rated wide receiver in the class last year? He would have been willing to trade up to get him to doghouse. It's infuriating. It's also kind of sad. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Jalen Hurd, who is at 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver, they finally cut him this week. Disappointing. What could have been when he was on the field in those preseason games. He looked fantastic, but a single tear shed for Jalen Hurd. What could have been? What could have been? So that's it. We did it. We made it. We made it through the Week 10 slate. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks
for having me.
Yeah, the people can follow you on Twitter at Mike_Dickinson. Guys, he is maniacal. He is. Mike was a late addition to the Banana Hammock Boys roster watch listener league, which we've talked about a little bit on the show. And you'd think that he'd been in the league since the beginning because the guy comes in and he talks shit from day one. And you know what? I love it, man. That's what this league is about. It's about being on.
Dude, I talked shit before I was actually in the league. Alan added me as a co-manager to cover his draft because it was past his bedtime. I came out firing. Well, what else you got to do?
And Alan really put some. I mean, Alan and I both can't stand auction drafts, so I think our performance has shown that. So it's just what it is. We better be a normal draft next year.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No. We're sticking with auction, brother.
God damn it!
I got news for you. This is how fantasy managers win. But listen.
I'm waiting for the course correction. I'm 3rd in points, and I'm 8th in record.
Dude, I just noticed that Mike. I was like, dude, Mike is gonna make a huge run.
Don't worry, brother. In that league, and this is what for those of you who play in leagues where it's not where points take no cause into playoff standings, the 6th team in that league with the most points who's not already in the playoffs gets a playoff spot. So you're pretty secure there. And you know what? First season of this league, that's how I got in, and that's how I won it. So have confidence. It'll come. Brandon, people, of course, can follow you on Twitter at Brandon D. Adam. Thank you for coming on, brother. You're out next week, so we're going to have to.
I'm out next week.
Mike, what are you doing next week?
Probably the Flex Network podcast.
There you go, boy.
With Mike. Beautiful. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I am Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. Thank you for listening. If you like what you were listening to, if you like what you're watching, please like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference. Please comment. Please reach out to us on Twitter. We love talking shit on Twitter. And look, we're just here to have fun, talk fantasy football. So good luck in Week 10, Mike. Brandon, I don't wish you good luck because I'm going up against you in the league. Bad luck for you. Good luck to Mike. Thanks for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking with us for an end. 1 hour and 18 minutes. New record, Brandon.
New record.
Internet gold. It's fucking internet gold, baby.
Internet gold, ladies and gentlemen. So for Mike, for Brandon, I'm Flex Shane. We are the Flex Network.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everything.